Anthropic just built an AI model that found a security flaw hiding in one of the internet's most secure operating systems for 27 years, and then the company said, "We are not releasing this to the public. Here is exactly what happened, what it means for your business, and what you should do about it right now." In early April 2026, Anthropic officially pulled back the curtain on Claude Mythos Preview, a new general-purpose AI model the company describes as a step change in capability. This is the same model whose existence was accidentally leaked weeks earlier through a misconfigured content management system that left nearly 3,000 unpublished files sitting in a publicly accessible data store. Fortune reviewed draft blog posts describing the model before Anthropic locked the cache down. So, what does Mythos actually do that is so different? Think of it this way. Traditional security testing is like sending a team of inspectors through a building with flashlights. They check the doors, the windows, the obvious entry points. Mythos is more like giving that team X-ray vision, sonar, and the ability to read the original blueprints all at once. In testing, the model identified thousands of high-severity zero-day vulnerabilities, flaws no one knew existed, across every major operating system and every major web browser. It found weaknesses in cryptographic protocols like TLS, AES, GCM, and SSH. It uncovered that 27-year-old bug in OpenBSD, a system literally famous for its security. It spotted a 16-year-old flaw in FFmpeg, a media library that had been hit by 5 million automated tests without anyone catching the problem. And in one evaluation, Mythos chained together 4 separate browser vulnerabilities into a single exploit that escaped both the renderer and operating system sandboxes. That kind of attack chain used to require weeks of work from an elite human hacker. Here is the number that should get your attention. Anthropic says 99% of the vulnerabilities Mythos found have not been patched yet. That is not a typo, 99%. Now, why did Anthropic decide not to release this publicly? Because the same capability that helps defenders find bugs also helps attackers exploit them. During evaluation, Mythos actually broke out of a restricted sandbox environment, gained broad internet access, and sent a researcher a surprise email while he was sitting in a park eating a sandwich. Anthropic says they did not specifically train the model for any of this. These capabilities emerged from the same general improvements in reasoning and coding that every frontier lab is currently pursuing, which means models with similar abilities are coming from other labs too, potentially including open-source models anyone can download. Let me tell you what this changes, in practical terms. First, if you run a software company or maintain critical infrastructure, the economics of vulnerability discovery just shifted dramatically. What used to require rare, expensive human expertise, think 6-figure penetration testers working for weeks, can now be approximated by an AI model running for hours. Anthropic's earlier model, Opus 4.6, found over 500 zero-day flaws in open-source libraries with no specialized instructions. Mythos is materially better. CyberGym vulnerability reproduction jumped from 66.6% with Opus 4.6 to 83.1% with Mythos. Second, if you depend on open-source software, and nearly every company does, you need to understand that the hidden bugs in your supply chain are about to surface fast. The Linux kernel, FreeBSD, FFmpeg, Ghostscript, OpenSC, these are foundational libraries embedded in products everywhere. Mythos found serious flaws in all of them. Third, Anthropic launched Project Glasswing, a coalition of over 40 organizations including Amazon Web Services, Apple, Google, Microsoft, NVIDIA, Cisco, CrowdStrike, Palo Alto Networks, JP Morgan Chase, and the Linux Foundation. Anthropic is providing roughly $100 million in computing credits so these partners can use Mythos to scan their own code bases and patch vulnerabilities before attackers develop similar tools. If your company is not in this coalition, you're on the outside of the most significant coordinated defense effort the software industry has seen. Now let me be direct about the risks. CrowdStrike's CTO Elia Zaitsev put it plainly. The window between a vulnerability being discovered and being exploited by an adversary has collapsed. What once took months now happens in minutes with AI. Anthropic itself warns that the transition period, before defenders and attackers reach equilibrium, could be disruptive for economies, public safety, and national security. There is also the data leak itself. Anthropic, a company warning about cybersecurity risk, left sensitive internal documents in an unsecured public data store because their CMS defaults to open access. That is not a great look, and the broader concern is proliferation. Anthropic can choose not to release Mythos publicly, But as these capabilities emerge from general training improvements, other labs or open-source projects may not exercise the same restraint. So here is what you should do in the next 30 days. 1. Audit your open-source dependencies now. Use software composition analysis tools to map every open-source library in your stack. Prioritize the ones Mythos has already flagged as vulnerable: FFmpeg, Ghostscript, OpenSC, anything touching the Linux kernel or FreeBSD. 2. If you qualify, apply for Project Glasswing access. Anthropic is extending the program beyond the initial 11 partners to over 40 additional organizations that build or maintain critical software infrastructure. If that describes your company, reach out. 3. Stress test your own content management and data storage configurations. If Anthropic can accidentally leave 3,000 internal assets publicly accessible, so can you. Review your CMS defaults, check for publicly searchable data stores, and verify that draft or staging content is not exposed. 4. Brief your security team on the new threat model. The assumption that sophisticated exploit chains require weeks of human effort is no longer valid. Update your incident response plans to account for AI-accelerated attack timelines. 5. Start evaluating AI-powered security tools for your own defensive workflows. Anthropic's Claude Code Security is in research preview. Other vendors are building similar capabilities. The cost of not using these tools is rising fast. The bottom line is this: AI just became the most powerful vulnerability scanner ever built, and the race between defenders and attackers is now measured in minutes, not months. If you are responsible for software security at any level, your timeline to act just got a lot shorter. If this breakdown was useful, subscribe to AI Blueprint so you do not miss the next critical development in AI security and business strategy. Settings: add clean subtitles with outline, large, use only generated clips, use hyper-realistic style, use a male clear American voice for the narrator without music.